piece of music on a sheet of paper is just, it's nothing until it's played. And when it's expressed through 4 dimensions in time, then it becomes a piece of music. And so our idea was that, that if you could somehow, transdimensionally twist the molecule through its metabolic paces while it was outside of yourself, you could see it. You could actually see the content of the trip. Now, of course, I understand that now that was a sort of complete misapprehension of what was going on, because it attributes far too much importance to the drug and not enough importance to the vessel, the instrument in which it's played, which is basically your own nervous system, in a sense. I mean, you wouldn't say that the piece of music, is in the Stradivarius. It's not in the Stradivarius until someone comes along and plays it and brings it out of the thing and out of it's. You understand what I'm saying? It comes from within, but there was this tendency to attribute the qualities of the trip to the drug and not to the person, and I think that's a mistake a lot of people still make. These things are just compounds. DMT is a simple chemical compound, and it is what it is, and it's not much, except that when it's placed in a nervous system, it goes through these metabolic changes, and the tune is played, as it were. But be that as it may, we had this operating idea that somehow you could actually make this happen outside yourself, and so that became the whole goal of our trying to create this artifact, basically, out of using sound and our own nervous system and our own DNA, and this wild idea that with using sound, because one of the things we've noticed on the mushrooms especially, and also on DMT, but on the mushrooms, was that at high doses you could perceive a sound inside your head, like a buzzing or a sort of like wind chimes, or sort of, hard to put your finger on, but that if you listen very closely, you could sing, you could imitate it, and at a certain point, your imitation wasn't that close to what it actually sounded like, but at a certain point, they locked in to each other, and then this sound, which was kind of like a howling, and kind of like a buzzing, and kind of like a screaming, and kind of, like singing. It was all of these things. I mean, I could make it right here. It was just very satisfying that you could modulate sound in this way and get this extended effect. And so we came up with this idea that, well, maybe we can use sound as the force to catalyze what was essentially a chemical reaction, which we speculated that, if you hit the molecules of a mushroom with the right frequency, that you could cause psilocybin to intercalate into the DNA of the mushroom simultaneously with the DNA of our own brains, and it would achieve a superconducting state, and it would generate a standing waveform, which would essentially be the standing wave, or a hologram, right? That's what a hologram is a standing waveform that would reflect all of the information in DNA, in a form that you could look at and examine. And, well, again, another, serious misperception or misunderstanding of what it's about, because DNA it has information, but it's not that kind of information. It's not the kind of information where you can look into a scope or something and see ideas, and that sort of thing. It's chemical information. But we had this idea that a certain vibrational state of DNA, which could be elicited by this experiment, could generate a sustained standing waveform, and that would be the way to fix the stone, the way to lock this experience into some kind of an external matrix. And this is really what we were looking for, was something that essentially could exteriorize this experience and validate it for not only us, but for anyone.